Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking the absolutely fascinating, surprising, and honestly sometimes controversial journey of a beloved stop-motion penguin. We're going to explore exactly how a humble little clay figure from Switzerland evolved into this massive global pop culture phenomenon. I mean, it's a show that totally transcends language, outlasts digital trends, and is literally still capturing the hearts of millions of people today. Okay, let's dive right into this with a sound that I guarantee instantly unlocks a core memory for so many of us. That iconic Newt Newt. It is the unmistakable signature of Pingu, right? A character whose mischievous little antics have deeply resonated across entirely different generations. So, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with Part 1, The Return of Pingu, then look at 2, Birth of a Penguin. We'll explore 3, The Magic of Penguinis, uncover 4, Crafting the Claymation, discuss 5, Naughty, Viral, and Banned, and then finish up with 6, A Match Made in Clay. All right, jumping into Section 1, The Return of Pingu. Now this is huge news. Mattel and the absolutely legendary animation studio Aardman are officially co-developing a brand new 3D stop-motion series. Mattel actually acquired the Pingu brand way back in 2011, and they knew for sure that if they were going to bring him back, they needed top-tier creative partners. Enter Aardman. You know, the brilliant minds behind Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep? Yeah, they are stepping up to the plate to deliver these fresh, snow-filled stories, and it is just a perfect pairing. Which takes us to Section 2, Birth of a Penguin. To really appreciate why this new partnership matters so much, we kind of have to look at how Pingu has evolved over the decades. He was originally created back in the 1980s by a Swiss-German animator named Ottmar Gutmann, before the original hit series officially premiered in 1990. Then, after Mattel acquired the rights through HIT Entertainment in 2011, the character even managed to survive the jump into the digital age. There was a 2017 computer-animated spin-off called Pingu in the City, which was produced by Polygon Pictures and NHK over in Japan. The character just constantly keeps adapting.
Moving right along to Section 3, The Magic of Penguinus.
So one of the most incredible things about Pingu, his real secret sauce, is that you can show it to a kid in Tokyo, a teenager in London, or a parent in Brazil, and they will all understand exactly what's happening without a single subtitle. And you might think it's just random noises, right? Well, Penguinese is actually based on a highly precise, centuries-old theatrical clown language called Gramalot. It's specifically designed to sound like a real language, complete with emotional cadence, so the audience can sort of guess what it means even though it's technically gibberish. Fun fact, originally it was actually a parody of the Milanese dialect. And what's wild is that while the actors were improvising without a script, watching the animation playback, they actively maintained a consistent vocabulary for this gibberish. When recording, they'd invent words on the fly that would actually recur throughout the entire series. For example, Telebelly meant toy, and Cioccolani meant drink. So it really wasn't just noise. It was a highly structured, super deliberate performance.
Because of that, the vocal legacy was so incredibly specific that replacing the original voice actor, Carlo Bonomi, became a massive headache. Bonomi famously voiced literally every single character himself for the first 4 seasons. So when British producers bought the rights in 2001, they had to hunt down people who could actually speak this precise Penguinese. They ended up hiring London-based physical theater actors David Sant and Marcello Magni to essentially pass the torch and continue Bonomi's legacy.
That brings us to Section 4, Crafting the Claymation. Now, beyond the iconic voice acting, stop motion is notoriously difficult. The physical reality of keeping a long-running claymation show alive presented some intense hurdles. When the British team took over the rights, they actually traveled to Gutmann's studio in Switzerland to gather all the old materials. And what they found were the original clay puppets completely falling apart. Animator Steve Cox recalled that they looked absolutely scary. He literally described them as crumbling, terrifying zombie penguins. So scratch the idea of picking up where Gutmann left off. They had to entirely rebuild the cast from scratch. And instead of using traditional plasticine that gets constantly re-sculpted, the new team used a crazy labor-intensive technique called replacement animation. They cast hundreds of new puppets entirely out of resin. Just to animate a single walk cycle, they needed up to 8 different pre-sculpted puppets. The animator had to physically remove the stationary puppet from the set, swap it with a slightly moving one, and do that over and over, frame by frame. Just an astonishing level of craft. Let's dive into Section 5, Naughty, Viral, and Banned. Because here's the thing, this incredibly crafted,
innocent-looking show was surprisingly subversive. It was entirely unembarrassed by naughty behavior. Pingu was rarely a perfectly well-behaved child, which is exactly why kids related to him so deeply. But the animators deliberately stripped away adult notions of consequences, which led to episodes getting censored or straight-up banned across the UK and US. Little Accidents was banned in several regions for realistic toilet humor and urination. Pingu's Dream featured this giant haunting walrus that terrified young viewers so much it was essentially removed from British TV. Even the BBC forced edits on an episode where Pingu tips a potty over his sister's head, demanding a less messy version.
Yet that exact lack of a patronizing moral, that is what made Pingu an enduring phenomenon with internet and meme culture. It helped him amass over 7 million subscribers on his official YouTube channel today. Almost 8 million, actually. Parents back in the day might have worried he was too naughty, but that unpolished, unfiltered personality is precisely what the modern digital generation latched onto.
The sheer scale of his digital footprint proves he's an absolute modern juggernaut. Just look at the episode Pingu is Born. It sits at a staggering 46 million views alone. Pingu Goes Fishing and Pingu Cooks have upwards of 23 and 24 million. He's not just some nostalgic relic of the 90s. He's a bona fide algorithmic powerhouse today.
And finally, Section 6, a match made in clay.
This brings us full circle. The legacy of everything we've just looked at, the unscripted gibberish, the painstaking animation, the unapologetic naughtiness, it's all about to be placed in very capable hands. Aardman perfectly recognizes that the physical comedy transcends language barriers. They are the absolute perfect studio to capture the character's signature naughtiness. Sarah Cox, the chief creative director at Aardman, hit the nail on the head, noting that this quirky irreverence aligns seamlessly with what Aardman already does best. They totally understand that the comedy comes from characters just acting on pure instinct, without any heavy-handed life lessons.
Which leaves us with this incredibly exciting thought. How will the masters of British claymation reinvent the world's most famous, gibberish-speaking penguin for a whole new generation? Honestly, with Aardman's expertise in physical humor and Mattel's massive global reach, the next chapter of Pingu is bound to be fantastic. It just goes to show, sometimes the loudest, most enduring voices in pop culture don't actually speak a single real word.